my colleague with me, Wendy, and she will be monitoring the chat for any questions. So if you have any questions during the lesson, you can type your question onto our chat and we will be answering it. We have a lot of content to go through with you today, so we hope to have a Q&A, but if we don't, then just go ahead and shoot us an email and then we'll try to answer your questions that way as well. Again, you are joining our Cantonese learning series, Let's CantoTalk, 講廣東話. We will have 6 online classes and this is class 2. So, and let's welcome back is our teacher, Sue Marguerite. And if this is your first time taking the class today, meet Sue. Sue is our teacher for our Cantonese beginning series, and Sue has lived in Hong Kong for 30 years, and she has pretty much learned Cantonese all by herself through courses and also through a lot of conversations that she had with her friends and also family. And she is currently living in the East Coast, but she spends her time between the US and Hong Kong, and she runs a YouTube channel that is called Cantonese Corner, which she shares a lot of Cantonese learning content on her channel. She also teaches Cantonese and Chinese character classes on her website, which is CantoLingo as well. And again, welcome Sue again. Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you so much, Janet.
Yep, let's do a quick recap. So in lesson 1, which is last Wednesday, I hope you guys had a lot of fun. We talked a little bit about Cantonese, what it is, the history of it, and we talked about the 6 tones, which we will still have a lot of practice today. And we have also gone through some common ways to greet friends. 大家仲記唔記得啦？早晨，你點啊？早晨，幾好嘛？你好嘛？喂，你食咗飯未啊？食咗啦，唔該，你呢？走先啦，下次見啦，拜拜，下次講啦。These are some of the phrases that we have gone through last week, and today we'll go through more. And today we are going to learn about numbers, and we will have more tone practice. Sue will also teach you about the months and days of the week in Cantonese. And at the end, she is going to have a lot of useful phrases to help you to make a date for dim sum. So it sounds very, very exciting material. And now I'm going to pass this time to Sue, and she will start to review the 6 tones in Cantonese with you.
Thank you so much, Janet, and thank you to everybody for joining us again. I have a little bit of a scratchy throat, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And so we're going to get started right away with numbers. And numbers, if you've seen my YouTube videos, or if you know some of the numbers, are great ways to practice the tones. So let's review a little bit first with the tone chart that we had last time. And you can see there that there are 3 flat tones. They are the tone 1, tone 3, and tone 6. And those are just flat, high, mid, and low. And then we've got 2 rising tones. I refer to them as a mid-rising and a low-rising. Tone 2 is our mid-rising. I usually do this kind of motion. And the tone 5 is going to be more of a low-rising tone. And then we've got one that is just falling down. And it just starts here and just goes to the basement. And that's actually the lowest tone that we have. So we're going to get a lot of practice with that, talking about numbers. So the numbers. So we're going to learn to count today. And I'm going to run through them and you can just hear the different rhythm of them. So we've got yat, yi, sam, say, lo, tat, bat, go, sup. And we have the 4th tone, the only one between 1 to 10 that is the 4th tone is our leng. And the leng is 0. And something interesting I thought about the 0 is that leng is 0. So we learned how to say last time, like sek jo fa me ya, and our sek means eat. So if you've got leng sek, you've got 0 eat, it's junk food. Isn't that right, Janet? Yeah. So junk food in Cantonese is 0 food. Like it has no nutritional value. Junk food is your leng sek. So that's a little extra bonus word there. But when we're talking about the numbers, I think it's super useful to separate them out according to their tone. So in the next slide here, what I've done, because you can learn them, yeah, yisam, and then just keep going through the nice flowing way. But if we go to the next slide, do I have control? Can I go to the next one? Thank you. I think it's really useful if we separate it into first, third, and sixth, which are flat tones. And then on the bottom, I've got the numbers that are a rising tone, and the 2 rising, we've got a number 2 tone, a number 5, and we have 1 falling fourth tone for 0. So I'd like for you guys to have a go at doing these. So we're going to start with the first tone. It's the very high tone, and we've got yat, sam, tat. Can you guys repeat after me if I said yat, sam, tat?
And if you guys would like to unmute, you can also do that too. And let's try it together with Sue. We are trying the first tone, which is the high tone. Yat, sam, tat. Give it a go.
Yat, sam, tat.
Yat,
Awesome.
sam, tat.
That's great.
Yeah, that sounds really good. And remember, that's your highest. You're setting the bar really high. And when we did like our dalte, right, we set the bar high and then we went low. So let's skip over the third tone and go right to the sixth tone. We've got our yat, sam, tat. Now we're going to do yi, lo, sam.
Let's try yi, lo, sub, which is a lowest tone. Yi,
Look,
lo,
sup.
Yi, look, sup.
sub.
Yi, look,
Sup.
sup.
Yi,
Look, sup.
Those sound really good. I think you guys may have had some practice with your numbers maybe before, but if we've got our number 2, 6, and 10, those are our sixth tone, the flat low tone. So now let's put in first, third, and sixth. So we're going to go across on the top. So we're going to do the 1, 4, and 2. So we've got yet, say, ye, right? Yet, say, ye. So we're going down, down, down. Yet, say, ye. Let's try that.
Yat,
Yat,
yi.
say, ye. Yat, say, ye.
Yat, say, yi.
Yat, say, ye.
Yeah, those sound really, really good. So you can kind of tell you're starting that high, middle, and low, just like the scale of a music.
Yat, say, yi.
Yep. So let's go to the second one then. I think I heard somebody getting ahead with the second one. We've got 3, 8, 6. So we're going to be sam, ba, lo.
Sam, ba, lo.
Sam, bat, lo. Lo. Sam, bat, lo.
Perfect. That sounds really, really good. So now the last one, let's do 7, 8, 10. How about that? We'll do our tat for the number 1 tone. Tat, ba, sub. Tat, ba, sub. Try that one.
Chat, bat, sam. Chat, bat, sam.
You'll notice that in Yale, the number 7, the tat, it's spelled with a CH, but it's really pronounced like a tat, like tat. You're kind of forcing that air out from your tongue, pushing against the top of your mouth. So it's more like tat. Can you try that one? Just the tat.
Tat.
Tat, tat.
Yeah. That sounds really good. That's the one that sometimes when it's spelled with a CH, it might trip you up a little bit, but it's your tat. Okay. Now on the bottom, we've got rising tones. We've got our number 9, which is going to be go. Can you try that one? Go.
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 Yeah.
Go.
That sounds really good. And then we've got our 5th tone, which is our and this is kind of like your nasally number 5.
Mm,
Yeah. And this one is interesting because when you it's really nasally, like that with really a nasal sound, but a lot of times people will just say like the letter M almost or so it's a little bit of a difference there, you can tell, but it is, yeah, that's the one that Okay. And then moving on to the fourth one, which is our low falling fourth tone, which is lạnh.
Lạnh.
Lạnh. Lạnh.
Perfect. Okay, so do you guys feel ready if I say a number? We'll go to the next slide. Or should we stay on the, let's stay on this slide for a minute. And I'm going to say a number in English, and then you repeat it in Cantonese, okay? So if I said the number 6.
Lục.
3.
Tam.
Yep, go straight up there for some. How about, good. How about 5? Good. Okay. So you guys have probably had some practice with your numbers. Would I be right if I said that you had some experience with your numbers? Yeah, because they seem really good. So we're going to move on ahead because we've got some other good dialogue and other things to teach you. So this is just another slide with the numbers on it, but we'll move to the next one because once you know your numbers, you can talk about the month, you can talk about days, and you can talk about days of the week just by combining the number with another character. So there on the right side, I've got the character for month, which is yu. Yu. It's your low. Good. And remember in Cantonese, in the Yale system, H just denotes a low tone. So the H is silent, but it's yu. So once you know that yu means month, you can just put the number in front of it and you get January through till December. Okay, so that makes it really easy. You don't have to learn different names for each of the months. As soon as you know the number, you know all the months of the year. I will point out that when you get to November, it's the 11th month. December is the 12th month. So you're going to notice that you've got 10 and 1. So yet, I forgot to put the number 1 after yet, but that is your number 1. So November is going to be 10, 1. So yet.
Yet. Sub yet. Yep, someone said sub yet.
Yeah, perfect. So then we're going to combine it with the yut. So if we go from the top, we've got yet yut.
Yet you. Yet you.
Very good. Yi yut. Sam yut.
Sam yut.
Tam you. Tam you.
Say yut.
Say yut.
Say you. Say you.
Good. Yut.
Mute.
Yut.
Mute.
Lo yut.
Lo
yut. Lo you. Lo you.
Chat yut.
Chat you.
Good. Bat yut.
Bat you. Bat you. Bat you.
Gao yut.
Gao you. Gao you. Gao you.
Sup yut.
Sup yut.
Sup you.
Sup yut. Both of those are those low tones, sup yut. And then we've got sup hai yat, sup yat yut.
Sup yat you. Sup yat you. Sup yat you.
Really good. And how about December?
Sup
Sup you. Sup you.
Sup yut.
Perfect. Sup yi yut. They're all that same kind of sup yi yut. The same tone, the sixth tone, our low flat tone. So now you know how to do January through December just by knowing your numbers. So first, before we get into sentences, I wanted to point out a grammar note, which is how to make a question. And in Cantonese, as you probably know from our first lesson, not even realizing it, when you have a verb and you put in the middle of it, the fourth low falling and repeat the verb, it makes it a question. So this one to say, is it, or the verb to be, which is am, is, are, would be hai, 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 hai.
Hai.
One thing that I find really interesting about Cantonese is that there is no one way to say yes and no. In English, we've got yes and no, and it can apply to every single situation. But in Cantonese, it was always kind of strange to think like, wait a minute, there's no word that just say no, or there's no word that just means yes in every instance. And this is really interesting to me, I thought. So one way that you can say no is if the question is hi, you're going to be saying hi, just repeating that for no and saying hi for yes. So try hi.
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 Mhm.
Hi. Hi.
Yeah, great. So then to say yes, you'd just be saying hi.
Hi.
Mhm.
Hi.
Yep, perfect. And sometimes you can add those particles at the end, like hiya, right? Or hiya. You'll add that at the end to kind of soften it or put more expression into it. But the grammar behind it is that. So now moving on, we're going to combine our months with a little bit of English here. So if I were to ask you, 3月係唔係 April, right? Let's try that one. 3月係唔係 April?
3月係唔係 April？
3月係唔係 April？
Right.
3月係唔係 April？
Perfect.
係唔係 April？
Good. So without going to the answer, what do you think the answer is going to be?
唔係
Perfect.
Hi.
Yep. Hi. And that's saying no, because 3月 is which month?
March.
It's March. So in our next slide, we just have the answer. Hi. 3月係 March. You want to repeat that?
Hi. 3月係 March.
3月係 March。
So anytime you have a question that's hi, you always are going to answer hi or hi, depending on if it's yes or no. Okay, so we can move on to another example, which is 11月係唔係 November?
11月係唔係
11月係唔係 November？
係
Perfect. So,
11月係唔係 November？
So what's our answer going to be?
係啊，11月係 November。
Right. And your answer, of course, is going to be?
係啊，11月係 November。
Yep. And I think that's on our next slide. Yeah, this slide. Yeah. Hi. Hi. 11月係 November. Perfect. So now we're going to be moving on and we're going to be talking about days of the week. Now, again, you'll notice, okay, so how to say week in Cantonese is the high tone sing with the low tone kai. Sing kai.
星期星期
K. Yeah,
星
K.
期
Like K-A-Y almost. It's spelled in Yale
星期
K-E, right. Sing K, good. So if you put the sing K this time in the front, now the yu came in the back, right? Yat yu, yi yu, sam yu. But if now the week comes in the front, so sing K yat is Monday. Sing K yi. So let's have a go saying those. We've got sing K yat,
星期一，
星期一
星期
sing
一
K yi.
星期二，
星期二星期三
星期四。
Let me go back to the Tuesday for just a minute, because that yi is that low tone, flat tone yi. Sing K yi. I sing K
星期
yi.
二星期
Perfect. Good.
星期二，
Yes. And now we're going to go back up high for the sing K sam.
星期
星期三星期三
Perfect. And that's an easy one, right? It's high, low, high. Sing K sam, right? Sing K sam. The next one, we've got our third mid-tone. Sing K say.
星期
星期四星期四
Sing K
星期五
Friday,
星期
Saturday, 星期六
星期
星期六
星期六，
星期六
星期六，
星期六
And now we get to Sunday, and it's a little bit different. You'll notice it's not 星期七, it's going to be 星期日. Now this yet actually means day. So 星期日 is going to be our Sunday. Okay, it's yet.
星期日
星期日，
Yeah, those all sound really good. 星期日. So that's our Sunday. Now, I will mention that we were talking about this, Janet and I were talking about this the other day on how 星期 is actually a written form that you will see that written newspapers or wherever standard written Chinese uses the 星期. But there is another way in Cantonese to say week. And you may have heard this before. It is our 禮拜. So 禮拜一.
禮拜
禮拜一
禮拜一
And then it goes right on 禮拜二, 禮拜三, 禮拜四, 禮拜五. And it goes all the way down to, of course, 禮拜日, which is our Sunday.
禮拜日
禮拜日
So
Yeah.
星期 and 禮拜, I think it's very much interchangeable and interusable these days. However, when it comes to the written form, then usually we would write 星期. But when it comes to the speaking form, then we can use 星期 and also 禮拜.
And it's interesting because in Hong Kong, at least my group of friends or circle of friends, it seems 星期 seems much more popular now. I don't really know why that might be. Maybe it's just me and my group of friends, but it seems like 星期 is quite popular, and then 禮拜 is also okay. So now you know how to say the months of the year, the days of the week, and we're going to go on to do the days on the calendar. Or wait, do I have a little bit of, oh no, sorry, we're going to do some practice here, I forgot. So if I asked you the question, the same, 係唔係星期三係咪 Tuesday?
唔係
Right. You want to repeat the question first?
Let's repeat the question. 星期三係唔係 Tuesday?
星期三，
地
星
期三
係 Tuesday。
Tuesday
星期三
Right.
係星期三
星期三係咪 Tuesday？
Perfect. So what would your answer be?
唔係星期三係 Wednesday Tuesday
You guys are way too advanced for this, I think, but we're going to keep going. We've got 唔係星期三係 Wednesday, of course, because Sam is the third day of the week, and starting with Monday, it's 1, 2, 3 is Wednesday. So 唔係. Next one, 星期日係咪 Sunday?
星期日係唔係 Sunday 啊？
Sunday 係星期日係 Sunday
星期日係唔係 Sunday？
And your answer is going to be?
唔係
係
係
係星期日係 Sunday
星期一係 Sunday. Very good. And on down below, you can see all of the days of the week.
Yep. And then a little bit, be careful about saying 星期一 and 星期日. So it sounds very similar, but it's actually different. So 星期一 is Monday, 星期日 is Sunday. So again, it's the tones that is making a difference in here.
That's so true, because even with friends, I need to sometimes confirm, like if we're making it a date to do something and they're saying 星期一 or 星期日, I sometimes have to just like, okay, wait, are you saying 星期一 or are you saying 星期日? Like that difference in tone between the first tone and the sixth tone is the difference between you're coming on the right day or maybe possibly the wrong day. So, and so here it's really interesting how we're talking about the yet, meaning day or days. But when you're talking about a date or a number on the calendar, you're going to be using ho, like yaho, yiho. So while we've been talking about 星期日 meaning day, and it does mean that, when you're speaking about a date on the calendar, just remember you're going to not be saying yet, you'll be saying yaho, yiho, samho. So how about we have a go just saying ho?
Hậu.
Oh,
Mhm. And that's your date number on the calendar. So the next slide, then we get into simply the dates, which is the numbers you've seen. But if you put the ho after it, like yat ho, yi ho, sam ho, say ho, ho, it's going to mean the date on the calendar. And we're going to be using that in our dialogue coming up. So we can just go past this one. Just remember that your sixth tone, the low tone, like yaho, is going to be your date on the calendar.
so Sue
And-
doing a quick time check in here. It's 7 p.m. We have another 30 minutes for the class.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we can get right past this. I'm going to review just a little bit what we learned, and then we're going to get into useful phrases and the dialogue. So I put in brackets here the nin. Now, nin means year. Mhm.
Nin,
Nin.
nin. This is year.
Mhm. And this is your fourth
Nin.
tone. So remember, it's that low falling, just lean. Mhm. And
Nin.
another thing to note about
Nin.
it is that you've got
Nin.
N spelled with an N. So the N sound nin. But a lot of times people are going to be pronouncing
Nin.
it L, like lean, right? Geda lean or gum lean. But it's traditionally should be pronounced with that N, nin. Mhm. So I bring that up because when I do my YouTube videos, I start every video by saying the date. So here we've got year, month, date on the calendar, and the week. And that's really the order in Chinese that the date is written. Like in English or here, we would be doing like January 1st, 2022, or today, July 20th, 2022. But in Chinese, in the way I start every video is, 即係譬如今日係20 what year is it?
23 哦，
未到23 2022年. Alright, so we would be saying 2022年.
今年係2022年。
今年係2022
Mhm. And then we'd have, what month is it? This month is July. So how would we be saying our month?
7月
Yeah, very good. The high tone 七月. So 2020, no, not 00, 2022年 7月. And what is the day today?
20號
20號
Yes. Did I just lose my screen? Okay. Sorry. I think, there we go. Okay. Okay, good. Sorry, something was just coming in on my computer and I thought I lost you for a moment. I'm glad I didn't. Okay, so yeah, so we've got our year, month, date, and then we can say the week. And today is what day of the week?
星期三
星期三.
星期三。
星期三
So you ready to put it all together if we said 2022年7月20號星期三?
2022年7月20號
Very good.
星期三
That's really good. I know it's a mouthful and we're going really quickly. So I do have videos up on my YouTube channel if you want to check those out for more practice with the numbers. But we're going to move on to some useful phrases and a little bit more of the grammar of asking questions and then do a little bit of a dialogue. So I think we can go to the next slide. So before we had our, before we had the hi. Now, another way to ask, like, is it good or is it okay, is you're using the ho, right? Ho, which means good, right? So ho is your second tone, the rising, mid-rising.
好，
Ho.
好唔好？
Ho, ho 啊.
好唔好啊？
好唔好啊？
Right. And because we're using the verb, well, this is really an adjective, which you can use as well. That's something else that's different about Cantonese and different from English is you can actually use an adjective as a verb, like lam lang, right? Is it pretty? Hom ho, is it good? You don't need that verb is, where in English you do. You can't just say good, 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 not good, right? But in Cantonese, you can say good, not good, and that's perfectly acceptable. You don't need that verb to be, whereas in English you do. So that's just another way that Cantonese is easier in some ways than English. You can just say hom hoa, and that means, is it good? Hom hoa. And to answer that question, because it's using that verb or adjective, it's going to be your ho, meaning no good, not good, or oh. And I apologize there. That ho, the second one should be the tone 2. It didn't change to 6 when you're saying yes, good. It should be the same, the ho, the second tone. So ho or ho, hoa. So we're going to be going through that in the dialogue as well. And then another way to ask a question is going to be, we're going to introduce when, right? We've got our gay si ya. It's the second rising gay si ya.
Gay si à.
Gay
Gay
si
si à.
Gay
si à.
Gay si
Gay si à.
Gay si
Gay si à.
Very good. You're going 2 down a little bit low, and then for that just your gay si ya. And that's going to be actually asking when. So now let's put some of these pieces together to actually, well, first we're going to learn one more and then we'll put them together. Yeah, yum cha. Now the cha is your 4th tone, so it's that low falling. You're going to go mid-rising, yum cha.
Yum cha.
Yeah, yum cha. Now, literally, yum means to drink and cha is tea. So it literally means drink tea. But in almost all instances, unless you're really talking about you've got tea in hand and you're drinking tea, it means to go to the tea house and have dim sum, yum cha, right? So if you're going to yum cha, you're really going to the tea house and having dim sum. So our next slide, I believe, has asking the question, when can we go yum cha? But you don't even have to say all that can we and go. You can really just say when yum cha or dim sum and that's your question. So gay si yum cha.
Gay si yum cha.
Gay si yum cha.
Gay si yum cha.
Gay si
Gay si yum cha.
Gay si yum cha.
And that at the end, like, because your cha already has the ending, right? You've got cha. So it kind of goes gay si yum cha, and you kind of go up a little bit. Would you agree with that? Like cha.
It's almost like a song. Gay si yum cha.
Yeah. And again, you don't have to add that at the end. Gay si yum cha. You could just end with that if you wanted to, but it just makes it a little bit more fun and more like a song and more lively. Yeah, lively and fun, freewheeling. So again, in English, you probably couldn't say when eat or when dim sum, but in Cantonese you can. You don't need to say can we or any of that. So then our next, sorry.
So when you were in Hong Kong, usually when will you gay si yum cha?
Oh, so well, it depends because they've got this really great place now called dim sum, and it's almost like fast food dim sum. It's actually really good. So we will go during the week, sometimes lunch break at work, but yum cha is so special on the weekends because that's when, you know, as you probably all know, you get together with your family. So it's like a multi-generational time. And it always was so heartwarming to go to the tea house on the weekends and see like 3 different generations. You had grandparents and their children and their grandkids. And it's just really, really special. And so that's usually on Sundays too. We would go visit my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, and have yamcha. But my mother and father-in-law would usually go almost every morning down to the tea house to have a bit of yamcha too. So yeah. So again, if you don't want to say yamcha, you really want to be specific, you can say when can we have dim sum and use the dim sum. So you'd say "幾時," which is your when, "食," which is eat, dim sum, 幾時食點心啊?
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 幾時食?
Right. But that's just to show you that that's really literally the dim sum, right? And I know in English they call it dim sum, but if you wanted to pronounce it properly, it's your mid-rising dim sum, dim sum.
Dim sum.
Dim sum. Okay. So now let's practice with, remember last time we had a bit of a dialogue with greeting your friends. So we had 早晨,你點啊?
早晨,你點啊?
早晨,
早晨,
你點啊?
早晨，你點啊？
早晨,
早晨,你點啊?
That's really good. The 你, remember, is like that fifth to second. So you really, if you remember, the fifth and the second tone are both rising. So it's 你點啊? It's just going right up the scale. 你點啊?
早晨,你點啊?
早晨,
你點啊?
你點啊?
Very good. Yep. 你點啊? Okay, so good morning. How have you been? How are you? And a reply might be 早晨,幾好啊?
早晨,幾好啊?
早晨,幾好嗎?
早晨，幾好啊？
早晨,幾好啊?
早晨,幾好啊?
So good morning, quite good. Your "幾" is going to mean, in this instance, we had the "幾" meaning part of when, but here it's meaning like quite good, right? Yeah, not bad, quite good. 幾好. Okay. 幾好啊? So our next one, an answer could be, when can we go yamcha? And we had this before, is our 幾時飲茶?
幾時飲茶啊?
幾時飲茶?
幾時飲茶啊?
Yeah.
幾
Perfect.
時飲茶?
So now what do you think an answer is going to be? I came up with one, and the next slide will be our answer. If you said, when can we go yamcha?
而家
I want to go yiga. Yiga means now. Yiga is now. But in our dialogue, we're going to use our weeks and our, well, for this one is the week. It's how about Saturday? So we've got 星期六, 好唔好啊?
好唔好啊? 星期六好唔好啊?
星期六好唔好啊？
星期六好唔好啊?
Right. Right. So like Saturday, is that good? Is Saturday good? How about Saturday for our home ho? And an answer might be, well, maybe I'm thinking about it like 星期六, like what date is that? So if I wanted to say, is Saturday August 6th?
星期六係唔係
8月6號
Good. So we've got 星期六, which is our Saturday. 係唔係, which is your question. 8月 is August, and 6號 is the 6th, and then is your just question ending particle there. So is Saturday August 6th? 星期六係唔係8月6號啊?
星期六係唔係8月6號啊?
係8月6號啊?
Yeah. Yeah. Is Saturday August 6th? Like we're nearing the end of the month and you're like, oh, that's next month. I don't know. And the answer could be 係啊. 係啊. 係8月6號. 係啊，係8月6號。
係啊，係8月6號啊。
Yeah, yes, it's August 6th. Okay. And now we're going to be saying goodbye. So our next slide would be, oh, not yet. Okay, let's go yum cha on Saturday.
星期六飲茶啦。
Mhm.
星期六飲茶啊。
Mhm.
好啊，星期六飲茶。
You want to give it a go anymore?
好啊，
星期六飲茶。
星期六飲茶。
Mhm. That sounds great. So, okay, let's go yum cha on Saturday. And in Cantonese, it's just good. Saturday, yum cha, done, right? So, 好啊，星期六飲茶。
好啊，
飲茶。
Good. So then a reply could be, okay, I gotta go. See you Saturday. We got 好啊，走先啦，星期六見。
星期六
見。見啊，星期六見。
先啦。Right. Our 走先啦. Sorry, I forgot the numbers there. The scene is going to be your number 1. The 走先啦 is your scene means go first. So leave first la. 星期六, you know, is Saturday. And your 見 is going to be see.
好啊，走先啦，星期六見啦。
好啊，
好啊，走先啦，星期六見啊。
見啊。
Mm-hmm. That sounds really good. So, okay, gotta go. See you Saturday. And then a reply from the other friend could be, 好啊，星期六見。
好啊，星期六見。
好啊，星期
好啊，
六
星期六見。
好啊，星期六見。
好啊，星期六見。
Yeah, your 見 is going to be your third tone, that middle tone. 見，好啊，星期六見. Now, the 見 is interesting because you'll notice that before we had, on our lesson 1, we had 下次見, right? See you next time. Now, in my next slide, I think on the next slide, I've got, oh, okay. 好啊，走先啦. Or the one after this one? Yeah. So here, you can really put any day of the week. You can put next time, you can put today, you can put tomorrow, anything, any word that means time. Like Hawa at Pinyakin would be see you tomorrow. Singelokin is going to be see you Saturday. Any time where you're going to see somebody, you just stick it in and add the gin at the end. And that means see you at that time. So for example, if we had last time Hatigin, right?
Yes.
Which was see you next time. So my voice is going. Janet, if you could.
Yes. So let's say if we were to see each other next week, we can say 好啊，下星期見. Or we can say 好啊，下禮拜見. That means okay, see you next week. 好啊，下星期見. 又或者係 or 好啊，下禮拜見. That means okay, see you next week.
And for us, we're going to be seeing you next Wednesday, right? So it'd be 下星期三見, right? 好啊，下個星期三見.
星期三見.
好啊，下星期三見.
星期三見.
下星期三, which is next Wednesday.
Yeah, that ha is going to be your next, but we can get into that a little bit later. I think this is my last slide, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So do we have time for questions, or were there any questions that we could?
Yes.
I have a question. So I love the chart on the slide, so you can look at the words and look at the chart. But it takes so much mental power. I'm looking at the word, then I look at the chart, and I was wondering if there's any learning device in song where the song is the tones in order, kind of like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, you know, where each you know, each note is the first tone is the note that would be sung with some kind of words that make sense. You know what I'm saying? Is there some kind of device like that?
I totally know what you're saying. And I know there is actually a children's song when they're doing the numbers, the ya yi sam sam yi yat, right?
I think Sue, you will have to sing for us.
I don't know the whole song, actually. I know the start of it. But
okay, I can help you.
But I do know what you mean is if there's some, when I was first learning, I actually was in Hong Kong, and it was actually in Jordan. I know Yamade, but they used a piano actually with the notes like do, re, mi, and they did it that way when we had our classes using the piano. But I'm thinking if there's videos with those kind of songs in it, they would be really useful. Especially, do you have that song, Janet?
Yeah, we can try in here too. So I'll use it with my fingers, and then you will see. So it goes like this. I don't think it exactly matches the tone, but it's very similar. So it goes like this. Ya, yi, sam, sam, yi, ya, ya, yi, sam, say, no, cha, yi, sam, say, sam, yi, say, lục, chat, bát, gao, sab. It goes like this, and I think this is a song that probably every little kid in Hong Kong, when they were first learning numbers, they will all learn how to sing it.
Yeah, so that I would think on YouTube there might be some videos I can find and link to that do more of like children's things like that. That might be a good way to do it. I myself have a numbers video where I split it into the 3, so you can always watch that one. As well as days of the week and phone numbers and different things, tones and time. That's another one that's a good practice. I hope that helps.
It does, yeah. I still have to use my brain a little bit to think of like which I would like the first word to be, or the first note you sing to be the first tone, and the rising for like to match them up so that you can memorize it, and then it's just like in your brain.
Yes, yeah. Songs are good for that. Any songs. In fact, it's funny that if you were here when we first started today, we played Monica by Leslie Jung, and that was the first song I learned. And I didn't even know Cantonese at all, but he has some English. So thanks, Monica. And then I learned the next phrase. I had no idea what it meant. And so sometimes if you can find a good song that's slow and very distinct like that, then you get used to hearing those tones as well.
Yeah, and make sure you guys all visit YouTube channel that Sue runs, as well, as she does have a lot of very useful content in it. And then I think we have another question. So if you can unmute yourself, and then you can go ahead and say your question.
Okay. How do you say, like, if you say like the next Monday, how would you say that in Cantonese? Would you say下個 yes, 下個星期一 is next Monday, but how do you say next Monday?
That would be your qin, right, Janet? I'm a little bit 下個禮拜再下個星期再下
再下 that will be next will be 下 but next will be 再下
okay
再下個 yeah, like again next, like 下個星期再下個星期 yeah.
So Sue, there's actually a question on chat as well. Someone asked, would it be easier to learn Mandarin after you know how to speak Cantonese? I would say that it's actually different, because Mandarin has 4 tones and Cantonese has 6 tones. And some of the words between Mandarin and Cantonese, they aren't exactly the same. Would I say that it's easier? Maybe, possibly. Yeah, but not for everybody. I can never speak Mandarin correctly.
I speak Mandarin. So that's why I'm learning Cantonese right now.
It could be the other way around. It's easier. if you know
Mandarin first
Mandarin
and then
and
Cantonese.
then Cantonese next, because you're
Well,
already aware of all
Yeah.
the tones in Mandarin.
I speak Spanish, so I can read Portuguese pretty easily, but the tones are way different. Like when you say, you know, buenos dias, there in Portuguese, say bom dia.
So, because I noticed too, the difference between Cantonese and Mandarin that I always found interesting is the use of your tongue. Like Cantonese is kind of doesn't really use the tongue that much in a way, but with Mandarin, it seems that it's very, correct me if I'm wrong, but it always seemed to me that it's just different the way you form the words in your mouth even. So even if it's
with Mandarin, like if you get the tones wrong, then people cannot understand. I mean, not like English. I mean, even you don't speak really good English, people can still figure out, but not Mandarin. Yeah, because they really emphasizes on the tones.
On the tone, right? Difference between yet and yet. Yeah.
Yeah. Say E like as one. Yeah. Why first tone. Yeah.
Right. Just like we had in our first lesson last week when we had the tongwo and the tongwo and the difference between saying I'm hungry and saying I have diarrhea. So yeah, there is that. Yeah. I'm looking in the chat too that I think it's interesting too. Like Michael, you had said that my mom always taught me Lai Bai. And I find too that Lai Bai that was my impression that Lai Bai was like older. But actually I was really surprised to learn recently, talking with Janet, that Singhe is actually the standard written and the Lai Bai is more Cantonese. Yeah. So it's interesting that you say your mom always taught you Lai Bai. And that's why we wanted to really bring out both ways of saying week, because it's not more right. You know what I mean? They're both used interchangeably.
Yeah. Plus, I came from Shanghai and we say Lai Bai. Yeah.
Is it Lai Bai in Shanghainese too?
Yeah, Lai Bai.
Oh, cool.
Li Ba. We say Li Ba.
That might explain why.
We don't say Senkai. Yeah. In Shanghainese, we don't. So when I speak Mandarin, I had to think in Mandarin. But when I speak Shanghainese, I had to think in Shanghainese. So they're very different. Yeah.
I find it all so interesting, like Taishanese and Guangdonghua and then Shanghainese and Mandarin and
they're all the same writing, just very different in speaking. Yeah.
Right.
So let's see. So we have another question that says, when people talk faster, do the rising tones become flatter? I have a harder time hearing the differences when it is fast. So when people talk faster, do the rising tones becomes flatter? But
that's not really a rising tone. Yeah, like
I think it's likely that we omit sounds more so than making a tone flatter or higher.
Right, kind of not slur it together really, but just say it so quickly that they don't become distinct enough. That's why sometimes when I say that the tones matter, but they really don't matter because there's so much in context that unless you really are saying like the difference between hungry and diarrhea or Monday and Sunday, that as long as you're getting the high tone and the low tone, the difference between even the third and the sixth, I'm sure I mess that up all the time because the third and sixth they're both, flat tones. And same with the second and the fifth. If I was looking at some tone charts recently and someone a native speaker actually said the difference in the tones is just that the fifth tone, they start the same place and the fifth tone just stops earlier and the second tone goes higher. So they're basically the same, but one just goes a bit higher. And I'm like, really? So, I mean, so the debate over tones and things, I find it really fascinating. And which is why I sometimes say too, don't let it hold you back at all. Just keep going and you probably are right that when it is spoken faster, because the context is there, you'll be understood and you'll understand. I think it was a cuss word, was it?
So make sure you guys, I know that the class, we only have 60 minutes, but then learning a language, a lot of times it takes time and practice too. Do visit Sue's Cantonese Corner, her YouTube channel, that she has a lot of very useful material that you can practice and listen to it again. So I kind of listen here, then she has her numbers 0 to 10, there's days of the week and more. She normally would include a little bit more in all of them. And then there's also the phone numbers and more, and also tones and time as well that you can kind of pick it up over the week if you have time. And we will also make this a presentation, the PDF, as in a PDF file, and then we'll be sending them to you. And then you guys can go back and do a little bit more practice as well. And we will have our third lesson next week. And I know Sue has maybe a little bit of preview for you on what we might be learning next week.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the comments. Yeah, junk food. Next week, we are going to be doing more family relations. Is that right, Janet?
Yes.
Talking, because, oh boy, you could spend probably hours just talking about the different family relationships, because there's a specific name for everyone in the family. But we're going to keep it simple. I actually have a YouTube video about this. I drew a little chart and kind of put... so we're going to be talking about family relations and getting together for that Sunday or the weekend飲茶.
Okay, all right. 咁好啦，大家我哋下個禮拜見啦。See you guys next week. 下星期見。拜拜，多謝。